Hi, this is the Limitless Infinite. My name is Loretta, or Trinity 6, and this is a space for you to align your mind to higher vibrations and higher frequencies. This video today is, or was spurred on by a video that I watched by Ralph Smart and Teal Swan, two other YouTubers who bring through a lot of really good information. I will post the link to the video down below if you want to check it out. But it's really just a video about what's going on, what are the hidden agendas. You know, there's a lot of, I think, ideas of conspiracy ideas about what's happening with all of this COVID-19 and the virus. And are there other sort of hidden agendas happening behind what's really happening in you know, surrounding all of these events? And certainly there's always other agendas and other things happening that are going on. But Teal had sort of mentioned a comment about feeling like we are in this chess game and that we're all kind of being put into this game and we're sort of have no control over it, which I think to an extent is definitely true. And that triggered on like a lot of thoughts for me, because when I was going through my awakening, I had likened sort of my awakening and being introduced to the idea that sort of life is a game to the idea of being caught in a chess game. And there was some basic, I'll hold them up really quick, rules that I had written, I think in 2017, that having to do with how I felt about being stuck in the game or being awakened to being in a game. And I'm going to tie in some of those rules that I just posted into sort of what I'm going to talk about now, which is, I mean, I totally agree with her that chess is, that this game that we're in is like a game of chess. It really is. And that you have to understand how that works in order to understand how to play. And then of course right now, before I think it was almost kind of like you really had to delve deeper and on a different level to understand that you were in this game that's being played. But right now what it is this year, and I think also because of people talking about a lot about the harvest and the Great Awakening, that this COVID-19 situation is a great time right now for people who are in positions of control to basically build this construct around us. We're in a position of being sort of trapped or quarantined or stuck in these certain areas. And what we're seeing is these other people that have more power to be in control are literally building up the construct of this chess game around us. And what that means is that you're basically at a point of where you're part of this is starting to become out of your control. Like if you were someone that could recognize that part of the game, you in the past might have been able to keep yourself from being engaged in the game or part of that gameplay. But what we're seeing now is that we're sort of almost losing some of that, or that some of that control that we had to really step outside of it is really, it's just becoming everywhere. It's becoming embedded in the fabric of everything around us, because so much of the world right now is all caught up in the same energy and the same frequency of this virus and what's happening with it. And of course there is you know, lines of being safe and not you know, and being careful for the sake of everyone, but there's also underlying into that what we would like to call like what some people will call conspiracy, but also the hidden agendas of what's really happening within humanity and within our consciousness. And what that is when they build the construct of this chess game around us and we don't have the ability to step outside it, it forces us to have to play the game. It forces us to have to be a part of that energetic fabric, and we can't necessarily as easily release ourselves from it. And a lot of the fear that's built around all of this, and the resistance and sort of like the constraint of feeling like you are stuck or that you don't have the freedoms that you had before, it puts you in this mindset, and it's basically like creating this 3D fabric or web, and it's tying you into the game whether you like it or not. And so being aware of that allows you some options as to what you can choose to quote unquote get out of it or deconstruct it, or as a collective, we have a choice to collapse that system, to be able to recognize that it's being built around us, and then what choices can we make and what things that we can do to literally collapse that structure while being obviously attentive to other people's needs based on what they feel is safe or unsafe, but also progressing the future, the reality that we want to manifest, which isn't exactly aligned, I think, with the agenda and the reality that these other people are trying to manifest around us. And so part of that is, I just like wrote some notes, is like, so when you are playing, and I actually had a video that I was gonna post like a while ago about being a chess master, and I just never got around to it. Maybe I'll still post it, but when you get pulled into this game of chess, if you really think about and if you know about how to play chess, becoming a chess master, some of the best people, it's really about having an algorithm in your mind. And what you do is you basically memorize within your memory through all your experience in your gameplay, different strategies and different moves based on every possibility that there is, and you just have a mind that basically can like rifle through all the options at such a fast speed that when you're in the gameplay, like you're always like a few steps ahead. But what your mind is doing is basically strategizing based upon your previous experience, and being able to pick the move that is going to put you in the best position to have a victory or have a win. So like I'll say in some of these rules here, so like the first one's adhere to the construct of the game, basic rules. 2 is know all possible strategies, which is like what they do when they are running through these algorithms in their mind. Experience playing helps, I'm trying to read this backwards and I can't. Experience playing helps you learn after every move. Small sacrifices will be made to advance your position. So really what I'm trying to say is that when you have these people that are chess masters, all of that previous gameplay happens, and then you store all these memories, and then your subconscious mind basically, I mean, you consciously are trying to go through the rhythms, but a lot of this information that they have is also stored in their subconscious. It's patterns that they've run through. They've played so many times that their conscious mind stores a lot of this in their subconscious mind, and then when they want to think about, like, their conscious mind doesn't literally like go through millions of different game strategies. It's like that stuff is stored in a deeper, in another part of their mind, and when their conscious mind needs to know like what is the next move, they evaluate what's happening on their board, and then the subconscious mind like rifles through all of the experiences that are related to the particular positioning of the game that they are playing right now, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get whatever, like 1 or 2 options that you think are going to be the best moves based on the present situation, and then you pick one of whatever. So there's like, to me, I think a correlation between your conscious choice and then your subconscious mind having stored all that information from all previous gameplay. And so that's completely relatable now to what's happening now. So when we're having this construct built around us, what that means is that each of us then is initiating this program of feeling like that we have to play. And when we initiate that program, within that, we initiate the idea of wanting to be victorious and wanting to win. And what we associate with that is like having our freedom and doing what we want and not feeling constrained and not feeling like we can't make these connections. But then when we start engaging in that program of play, which activates the idea of wanting to win and be victorious, what happens is that we go into like some of these old patterns, just like you would if you wanted to be a chess master, which is you're reverting into like some of your subconscious mind, right? Because it's really a lot of our ego that drives us to want to win and to want to be victorious. So when we're like making the choice on all these life path decisions where we're like, we don't want to like win, we don't want to be part of a game, like we don't want to be driven by our ego, But then all of a sudden someone puts you in a game and is like, you have to play. All of a sudden then your ego gets turned back on and you're like, okay, if I have to play, then I'm playing to win. And what do I want when I win? I want freedom, I want my rights, I want blah, 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 blah. And so instead of being in that higher consciousness, which before your ego would have not been as prevalent in making decisions about your future and your current reality, now all of a sudden they're turning it on. So you're basically being, you're turning on this program, and within that you're activating your ego to help you get through this game and to be victorious. And so when you don't realize that that's what's happening to you, you all of a sudden are just engaging. Or even worse, you know that it's happening to you, but you don't know how to get out of playing the game that way. And so what I was saying, so the other two, the last two things, which hopefully I can read them. The best way to victory is to know your opponent. And victory is enjoying the company, not the game. And so that really, the two things about that are really important are, God, it's like so hard for me to get the lighting, is that we have to know who we're playing. Who is it that we're in opposition to? Who is building this construct around us? And understanding them, not in a position to like we need to defeat them. I think a lot of what's going on now too is that within the building of this construct around us, we're putting everything black and white. Now it's becoming a battle of us versus them, you versus whoever is like trying to control you, the people who are trying to control and the people who want sovereignty and to be free. And it's just creating and sustaining more duality within our world. And so the best way to victory is to know your opponent is, okay, first recognizing who are these people? Who are we calling us and who are we calling them? And understanding that real, true victory isn't about winning because that's your ego. It's about enjoying the company, not the game. So when they put you in this construct, this chess game, and then they're trying to basically initiate you to engage in this program so that you want to win, it's activating this competitive side of you, this egotistical side of you. What that means is then when you're playing, and let's just say, for example, that in this game, it's going to be harder for you to win because you're not in control. You live in a country where you don't always make all the rules. You live in a town where you're not always getting to say what you feel is the right thing to do. We, as citizens of certain places, don't always have the most control because there's always people kind of in this upper echelon that are making a lot of these decisions for us. So it can be very challenging to win a game like that when someone is literally has more control over the construct that you're playing within. And what that means is whenever we play a game, especially when it's driving our ego like that, when we get to the point of being victorious, when we are the winners, what happens is that in and of itself is an energy harvest. We take energy from, because because it always feels a certain way when you win, when you won a game. And it feels a certain way when you lose. And because you put all this energy into playing this game and then you didn't win. And you didn't get the trophy, or you didn't get the glory of saying that you were better than somebody else. And so when we're being put in this global construct, or even a construct as big as our country, but it's really on a global scale, it's the people that are in these positions of control building this construct. And whether even and I think some of these people in positions of control, they may not even be consciously aware that that's what they're doing. They have been activated to basically run these programs because of the level of consciousness that they're at. And so we have to remember that it's not always done with malintention, but it's certainly a intention that's seated within part of our collective consciousness. But either way, these people, what's happening is on another level, they're basically putting us in this construct to play this game. And then at the end of it, what they're going to do is continuously harvest energy from us, because they're getting people who would never otherwise engage in this kind of game, getting people to start reactivating their egos and their competitive sides. And then when we keep doing that, we basically are bringing up these energies. And when we feel like we can't win because we don't have control to do what we want because somebody else is telling us what to do, then what's happening is we're giving our energy and giving our energy and giving our energy. And we become trapped in this, we become trapped in the game and engaging in the game. And every time that we do, we're just feeding the construct more of our own collective energy instead of putting it towards what we really want. And so, you know, I was in the personal thing that if we don't play to win, that's the first step of getting outside of this construct. My battery is going to die, so I am going to pause and then get back into it once I have a battery. Okay. So like I was saying, the first step that we can do is to get out of this construct or to collapse the construct that is being built around us is don't play to win. So don't let, you know, your ego start driving some of the decisions. Don't be pulled into that construct where you start feeling all the limitations, the restrictions, the don'ts, the have-nots. These are all negative vibrations or low vibrations. You need to be able to stay within the higher vibrations that you have set for yourself, or if you're someone that hasn't been open to those kinds of ideas, now is the time. This is kind of like a test for all of humanity for the people that have been doing the work to stay aligned, completely aligned with the beliefs that they have basically nurtured in doing any of the work. Like if you're star seeds and light workers, then you know what I'm talking about. And for people that haven't, it's now your time to grasp the opportunity to awaken yourself to these ideas, to align yourself to things where we can come together as a group of people. And so when you know, I think it's also important to understand that even as different groups of people, whether you're someone that believes in higher consciousness or is on the path for spirituality, or if you're someone who's completely not, we can find some common ground between the two of us, which is that none of us like to feel the restrictions that are being set against us. None of us like to be told that we can't do this or can't do that, or we feel like we're having our freedoms taken. So at the base level, we have these common denominators that can actually help unify us. And because a lot of people are sort of in these positions of being at home more, having more time to do self-reflection, having more time to you know, look into different aspects of their life that maybe they never have before, because they've always had to do things like the responsible choices of going to work every day and raising their children, and you have all these other third dimensional world, material world responsibilities that have kept you, or kept many people, in these loops and these time loops. And this is our world opportunity to break free from some of these loops that we have been in, or programs that we've had instilled, and to be able to reset or set in new programs for ourselves, or engage in different timelines that we wouldn't ever normally be able to engage in. And it's opening up that avenue for a lot of people. But when you allow these people of control to build this construct around you, and you just start engaging in this game, and you just start seeing everything in black and white and us versus them, and there's just the push of resistance against something that you don't want to happen, this is all the things that we have been working, I think, collectively as a whole to sort of get away from, and to be able to move into the mindset that we can create our own reality, that we have avenues and options that are higher vibration, which is to really focus on that which we want, and to be able to see the positive side in things. So perspective now is everything. It's being able to look at something that really appears negative on the surface and being able to find the good parts of it. So it's like the same thing. If we all feel like we have this construct being built around us, that part is outside of our control, the common ground that we have is all people being sort of trapped within that construct, is that we all don't want to really be in there. We don't really want to engage. And so, like I said, the first avenue is to just don't play to win, which means do things within that construct that they're building around you that don't drive you to be competitive, that don't drive that part of your ego that wants to make all these decisions, to push back, to fight, to be resistant to what's happening to you. You have to find that place of being able to accept the situation that's happening and how can you make the best of it. And part of that is really, like I was saying before, like if you are a chess master, you get into the groove of just simply your mind runs through these algorithms. It just has a program that runs through all your previous experience of gameplay and just selects for you to present to your conscious mind what are the best options. And being able to take yourself out of that program is being able to sit there and go, I'm going to play a game of chess, but I'm going to throw all of that to the side and I'm going to just make moves at random, or I'm going to make moves that are not ideal to me being victorious. I'm going to push the envelope of what I think would be unusual behavior to see what my opponent does. That is engaging in a game in a way that breaks the patterns, that breaks the norms, that tells your subconscious, hey, I don't want to run that program anymore. I want to do something different. And the difference is I'm not going to play to win. I'm going to play for the experience. I'm going to play because I want to get to know the other person that I'm playing with. I want to play because I want to have some kind of like I said, different experience during this that will help me grow and evolve in a different way other than just driving my ego to win or to be the best at something. And so within that too, you can, you learn to just enjoy the company that you're with. And this is what I was saying before about being energy harvested. So when you engage in this game and you're playing to win, and you're engaging the way that they want you to, they're just going to be feeding off the energy that you keep driving into some of these old programs and old systems, these systems of control. Because it's like the same thing. If you are being pushed into this construct and your first thing is resistance and to fight back, they have a method of control to deal with that. That is, that is something that they've dealt with in the past, and so they know how to deal with it. And you're not really going to get anywhere. You're going to lose a lot of your own momentum by getting trapped into that. That's just another program that's initiated under this construct that they're already trying to build around you. And there's just so many methods of control for that. But if you start reacting in a way that is something that's outside of the norm that they haven't dealt with yet, then they don't have a program for controlling you within that scenario. So like I said, it's like if we are all finding the common ground, finding something that we feel can bring us together as a group, whether you are someone that really believes in, like I said, is of higher consciousness and you're trying to ascend and you have 5D timelines versus someone who's trapped in the material world and doing 3D timelines, if you can just find the common ground, which is like, okay, I don't want to be restricted, or I want to have my freedoms, or I want to have my sovereignty, you are able to at least find something that you're able to communicate with a group of people that you would never normally communicate. A lot of separation is happening right now between people who are really engaging in higher timelines and want to get to this different state of being, and people that are still kind of stuck in this, material physical world. And I think a lot of the work up until now has been almost like driving a clear line between these groups of people. But this is one area where it's like, you know what, we still have to be able to come together as human beings. And that kind of gets into another part of, I'm just like reading. So another level of this, which is the quarantine. The quarantine part of this whole, like, what you might call like conspiracy or method of control, is that when we're super zoomed in, which means when you are trapped in like your small community and you have no way to move outside of that, and you have no way to make connections out, you don't have no way, but like your connections are really limited on a physical level to other people. What that does is you're not, it's more challenging to be able to do things like create synchronicities with people. There is something that when we share our energy on a level by making physical connections within the physical world, we are able to create things like synchronicities with other people, and to be able to have opportunities for the universe to present to us different people in different situations and different experiences that can be catalysts for spiritual growth. But the way that this is they're basically conforming everyone to be in these super small select groups or select areas, and that really limits your perspective. So then it's like when you're stuck in this community, it's hard for you to be able to necessarily see the greater picture of what brings us together as people. If you're living in a community, especially if you're like a person that's living one type of lifestyle, if you're someone who, you live in an area with a lot of people you don't necessarily resonate with, and you're always going outside that area to be able to find people that you resonate with, it's going to be really hard because you're going to feel really alone and isolated within that community. And you're not going to necessarily have the same opportunities to make physical connections with people to be able to have the resonance that you like to have when you're in your group or your soul family or people that share your common beliefs. And in that sense, it like gets people to live in this idea of more segregation. Like when you're able to make other connections, like when you're able to go out and have different experiences with different people, we're able to find more common ground with other people. And even in this case, when I'm saying like what ideally would be great for people is to be able to have a perspective where you're zoomed out far enough to see the common denominator for all of us. And like what I was saying is, if you zoom out, you have one perspective, you're one person stuck in your tiny town, and your town is stuck in your state, and your state is stuck in this country. But if you zoom out far enough and you're looking at the world from that perspective, you can understand that we're all human, and we're all having this common experience and this collective experience, and we're all having things that feel cut off and that feel restricted. And what do we share in common as a group of human beings within our species? And within that, we're seeing that all this sort of restriction and this construct being built around us on a world level. But when you're zoomed in and you're stuck in your house all day, and you're by yourself and you're not making connections with other people, it becomes really hard to see these kinds of group perspectives where we can find the commonality that lies between us. And that's part of the other way of collapsing this construct that's being built around us, is really understanding what can bring us together. Okay, what can we do as groups of people, even with different beliefs, to be able to promote what we want to happen, instead of us just as all individuals or as different isolated groups being resistant and trying to fight what's happening. And a lot of this has to do with manifestation and creation too, and the law of attraction, which is if we just focus on all the stuff that we don't want and being resistant to it, and being isolated and staying within our quarantined areas, then what happens is like it's really a lot harder to fight the mass, to not fight, but to create with a mass energy takes a mass connection. And when we're really cut off like this, we're not making a mass connection. And I made a previous video before, it's like kind of long, but it has to do with the way that we create, and it has to do with sort of like energetic string theory and how we're all interconnected. And what we're doing when we make connections with people that we resonate with is we're sort of weaving this beautiful energetic fabric with other people. And what's happening right now is, instead of all of us weaving together with different energies and different and frequencies, we're isolating what we're making. So it's like I normally would have my energy connected to these other people, and they would have energy connected to other people, and it turns out to be this wonderful multi-dimensional fabric. But right now it's like when you're isolated and you're moving, your portion of what you're creating is very small. And so the structure, there's like a unified structure that we can create as a group of beings, human beings, as maybe even smaller groups, as being part of certain soul families or certain like light workers and star seeds. There's energetic creations that happen on that level, and right now it's getting more and more limited. And so within that, it's like the structure that we're able to build that is sort of, I would say, not in resistance, but as an alternative to the structure that the methods of control are trying to build around us, we're getting really limited. Like, we're not able to build. So basically, these methods of control are building on a global level, this energetic construct that's all around us. And you know that because you feel restricted. You feel like your freedom is being taken. You feel like this density and this pressure from not being able to do the things that we normally would be able to do. And if we're thinking the best way to quote unquote fight, but it's not good to think fight, but the best way that we have to promote what we want is that we have to build a construct that we want. And so, you know, even I was saying before, it can be about collapsing other structures, but it's almost not even, it's about being able to unify and align your mind to a vibration where the construct that they're trying to build around you doesn't exist. And in place of what that would be and where that would be, what we need to do is unify our energies and frequencies to build the construct that we do want. And right now, I think it's really important to be able to take the time and effort to make the connections that you need to make, or to even do the individual work on your own for yourself, so that then you're able to make certain connections, because we need people that are able to build, a beautiful, something else, something really positive, a positive energetic construct around us that can help bring us together and help unify us as people. And it has nothing to do with whether I'm somebody that believes only in 3D timelines and having everything I want in the physical world versus someone that's 5D timelines and is really building all these things in the spiritual world. We have common denominators, and we can create something together that is, like I said, I mean, in opposition, but also just as an alternative to this construct that we're all being forced into. And so I think that that's really important to remember, because we're in this really important time of having all of this other energy kind of forced upon us. And as I see it, all that is us being forced to play parts in a game that are going to drive more low vibrational frequencies within ourselves. It allows people to harvest energy from us because we're not putting our energy in the places that we normally would be able to. And to be able to align your mind to the idea that we have an opportunity to not just even collapse, but to create an entire alternate reality where we're building off of what we do want, in contradiction to what they're telling us has to be. So it's like, a little bit of this is like we're buying into what we're being sold, or we're just standing here receiving what people are trying to give to us, and we feel like there's no other opportunity, or we're getting that and we're trying to just throw that back at somebody else, saying that we don't want it. But what we really need to do is to be able to take that and materialize something else. And maybe there's some really good opportunities to take the collective energy that's kind of buzzing. Like, I feel like everybody has this energy that's just kind of sitting around. It's like stagnant energy. It's like people are sitting at home and they have all this built up energy within themselves because they're not going out and doing all this stuff. And how can we harness that energy into something constructive that is for the good of everybody? I think a lot of people have that to give. A lot of people are sitting at home and they are antsy. They want something to do. They need something to do. I just know in the places where I've been recently for the past couple months, it was like that. People were just like dying to get outside and just take a walk in nature, or just go out, and they were looking for other opportunities to volunteer their time to do this or to do that. And so a lot of people are just like on the precipice of like, I have the time now and I have the energy, but I almost like just don't even know what the best thing is for me to put all this energy into. And when they don't know and they don't see the options, what they put it into is just sustaining these other vibrations and frequencies of being frustrated, being agitated, and just continuously looping in that thought pattern of everything that they don't want, which is becoming abundant within their reality. So, this was all kind of spurred on, like I said, like this idea that we are getting put in this game of chess, and what they really want when they put you in this construct, this construct of control is for you to become a chess master. That's what they want. And within that, when you initiate that program within yourself and you're activating that, what happens is you just start running off your old subconscious programming and your old pattern thoughts, and then you're basically losing access to the opportunity to be able to put new programming or activate new things or initiate new things within yourself. And so it's important to be able to spread the message to other people that even though you might be forced within this construct that they're building around you, that you have an opportunity to play the game different. You have an opportunity to not engage the way that they're asking you to. You have an opportunity to just get to know the other people that are being forced within this game, so that we can find, you know, some common denominators to bring us together as a group of humans, which is remembering to zoom out a couple perspectives and not get really trapped into the more isolated viewpoints and perspectives that we have, because we are just being quarantined and being really cut off from being able to see the bigger picture, because we're not making these connections. And then, you know, how can we take the energy that is here, that is buzzed and alive in people, because they're because we're stagnant, because there's so many people without jobs and not working, and so there is a lot of energy that's just sitting around, just waiting to be seated. And how can we help people to use that energy in a way that aligns with their own personal beliefs and their own personal desires, but also helps us as a collective to sort of push through, this, what's happening to us now, and these programs that are really just being kind of forced upon us. And I just think, like, it's basically just getting the message out, spreading the word to people. And I honestly, if people have good ideas of any information or ideas, I welcome people to put it in the questions and comments down below. I just kind of wanted to get this out because I think it's an important message that kind of aligns with obviously what other people are talking about in the collective, what other people are feeling in the collective, and to really understand what your options are and to be able to help other people, and not just, okay, us light workers or starseeds helping other light workers or starseeds. It's, we all have to help one another. It's a great time in humanity's history for us to all come together as people, no matter what your race is. And that's such a huge subject that's going around too. But no matter what your belief systems are, no matter what you sort of like really want as an individual, but we have an opportunity to align ourselves and to unify ourselves with all of our differences, which I think is really important, because a lot of people get really caught up in unity consciousness being that everybody has to be the same, and that's not at all what it's about. Everybody is meant to be different. The whole point of creation and the creation process is for us to have individual experiences that we can all add to the unified mind or the unified consciousness. And that in and of itself wants us to have all these different experiences and to be different kinds of people, but to understand that, that we are all still the same type of energy, or, we're all here to have those same type of experiences, and we have to be able to be in a place that's, non-judgmental, to understand that, okay, let me find the common thing that we have all together. Let me find the love I have within myself and for other people, no matter what decision they're making to live whatever kind of life they're choosing to have. And so, anyway, I just wanted to get this message out. Hopefully, hopefully the videos will make sense. Sorry, my battery died. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you have any kind of links to any forums or anything like that where we can bring people together, that would be great. Like I said, I will link the discussion video between Ralph Smart and Teal Swan down below too, if you want to check that out. And if anybody else has any good links to any other good videos, or good information about sort of the collective, I don't like to say conspiracy, but the COVID conspiracy that's kind of happening, or the COVID control situation that's going on, then please feel free to add them so that they can all be part of this open discussion. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.